toxic and narcissistically abusive relationships, the victim has to ignore the truth in order to survive in the relationship. Not only do they have to ignore the truth, but when people actually approach them and say, hey, I think that this person is actually a really toxic person in your life, they will try to make excuses for the narcissist. And if those excuses don't work, a lot of times they will cut off that person that brought up those concerns. Those are narcissistically abusive and toxic relationships can't survive if they have to also address actual reality and actual facts. I know that when I was in my narcissistically abusive relationship, I had people confront me and I immediately shut them down, aggressively shut them down, and then was instructed by my narcissistic abuser to cut those people off. And these were people who had my best interest at heart, that really were trying to reach out to me with kindness. It is extremely likely that if you try to have a conversation with someone who is in a narcissistically abusive relationship, that you are going to end up getting cut off from them. Does that mean that you should not have a conversation with them? Not necessarily. I'm just saying be prepared for that. Try to set up as much as you can in those opportunities to make sure that you are setting yourself up for further communication. Saying things like, I'm not going to pressure you to make any decision. I never intend to bring this up with your abuser directly. I will do everything I can to not make it awkward around them so that they are not let on that I feel this way about them. My intention is to support you. This conversation, I intend to be private. I hope that you will keep it private and that you will not communicate this to your narcissistic abuser because it might result in them forcing you to cut me off. You might be scared to admit that this is happening, and that's okay. You don't have to admit that in this conversation. I'm not forcing you to do anything. Saying those kinds of things to someone in the context of this conversation while also being very kind to them and understanding, not judgmental, and just letting them know, hey, I care about you, I'm concerned about you. That's a way in which you can get that across more effectively. Can I guarantee that it will be successful? No. Can I guarantee that they won't cut you off? No. But do everything you can to set yourself up for success on that, and also for them. Remember, the more that they get cut off from their support system, the more difficult it is for them to leave that abuser in the future. So you want to do everything you can to say, hey, I see this. I want you to know that I see this. I'm concerned about you. I love you. I care about you. But I also want to make sure this conversation stays between us because I want to make sure you stay safe. Just be careful when you're approaching people who you believe are in these relationships, and treat them with kindness and treat them with respect. And ultimately, it is their decision. It took me a long time to come around to even realizing to myself, like consciously, that I was being abused. I knew it in my gut and I knew it in my heart for a long time, but I didn't know it consciously for a very long time. And then it took me a long time also to actually plan what to do with that so I could get out of that relationship safely. It's very hard. It's a very complicated situation that requires a lot of finesse.